Welcome to the Channeling Spirit Virtual Summit, a platform where we have invited Spirit to share messages, healings, and transmissions with all of us. May this energetic experience help us to expand our awareness and to deepen the relationship we have with our higher self, our spiritual team, and with Source, however we define them. Thank you for being here and for taking part in this amazing journey. Hello and welcome back to the Channeling Spirit Virtual Summit. My name is Daniel Martinez Stahl. This is episode 12 of season 6. And so I am the back end of the bookmarks for the season. Honor and a privilege to have shared such an incredible season with you guys. Following the session, we will do a short closing ceremony where I'll give you a lot of gratitudes and appreciations to everybody involved. So I won't go into that now, but I've never actually closed a season before, so it's a new feeling for me. And so before I get onto the subject of being human, being a spiritual experience, because I have had questions about the topic come up as soon as I posted that on the website. So I know that people want me to talk about that. As always, please, interact with me, raise your hand, ask questions, whatever you guys want to play with. I'm open to go in whatever direction you guys want to go in. But I did want to, let me just see. Oh, yeah. So there was a question in the last session from Carolyn about doubt and questioning herself when she channels. One of the reasons that I want to get to a place within my channeling where I can not remember what's being channeled.
Excuse me, Daniel, may I just clarify that question?
Of course.
The doubt, the self-doubt comes in after I've channeled and my mind is asking questions about, I wonder what other people think. Are they accepting me or rejecting me? That's my clarification.
Perfect. And so one of the reasons that I want to learn how to channel where I don't remember what's being said is so that I don't have that chatter afterwards. Because there's no doubt I'm not even there. So I couldn't have made it up, right? So that's part of the reason that I want to get to that skill set. But I'm not there in my own way. So when I channel, it goes through what I refer to as my awareness. It's not through my body, which means that I'm perfectly conscious and involved with what's being said. Because I am so involved, it's really easy for me afterwards to say, well, I'm not really saying anything I don't already know. That could have easily have been me. Now, within, again, the space of openness that I'm giving the energies that channel through me, I still haven't allowed them to say things that I don't already know. And again, this is my process. This is my journey. It's, a lot of things. I would love for them to tell you stuff that I don't know so that I don't have that experience of, well, I could have said that. In fact, I've said something very similar not too long ago. And so when people do spiritual journeys with me, which is an experience where we go into a relaxed state, a guided meditation, which is an interactive guided meditation where I take people into a scene or a story that's presented by their higher self in order for them to transmit a message that's important for their charge to then go where they want to go or to expand more than where they currently are, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. What I tell people during these messages is that our human brain, our beautiful human, is looking to classify and quantify experiences into categories. And when we experience things that are outside of our human norm, it doesn't know where to put it. And so one of the easy categories to assign is, oh, I just made that up. It's a really easy category for our human brain to just be like, oh, I labeled it. Look, I made that up. And so what I talk about is within a session, a spiritual journey session, there's a knowing that anybody that's going through it will experience of the validity of their experience. There's a knowing within the journey where when they're in it, they can tell that there's validity behind it, whether it's a made-up story or it's an actual past life or it's an actual alternate life or it's just a metaphor for a message to come through, really doesn't make a difference. But they can sense the validity of the experience, they sense the validity of the story, they sense the validity of the message that's coming through. And then afterwards, their human will say at some point, oh, you made that up. And I've been there. You know, I had a conversation with my first Life Between Lives session with my teacher. You know, we had conversations with one of the keepers of the Akashic Records. And it was a wonderful conversation. And afterwards, I said to Scott, I was like, I made that all up. It's like, and he was like, no, you didn't. I could tell that it wasn't you. And so for me, it's really helpful. Again, what Eric was talking about last session is to have a buddy, to have people that you work with and practice with and explore with, because what's really helped me with my doubt is even if I doubt it, I have Sandra Pelly, who's another speaker in the program, say, oh my God, I felt that energy so powerfully. It's like, well, you know, she and I have conversations all the time, and she's telling me that that energy was different than my own. And now it isn't, you know, so again, it is my own energy, but it's just a different presentation of it and different experience of it. And again, that whole idea that we're all one, I don't want to move away from that too far. But this aspect where, this aspect where our human is going to doubt and to question, it's okay. It's perfectly okay. It's normal and natural for our human to question its experience. And the more we do it, the more we start to find evidence that maybe this isn't just made up. And, you know, I've been, you know, Kiara was saying that we've been channeling for 3 years. It'll be, I think it'll be 3 years in the fall. So I've been channeling for a while, and I still feel like I'm making it up 90% of the time, but I know that I'm not, because of what other people have told me. And so I trust that in them. And then recently I had an experience, which is the first experience I've had, where I channeled an energy that I couldn't have made up because the energy was so distinctive and so unique and so identifiable that I recognized it when it was channeling through me. And afterwards I said to Sally, holy shit, I'm so grateful to them because I couldn't imitate them. I couldn't make it up. And so this has been 3 years of doubt and questioning, while, again, with my channeling partners, Eric comes in and says, Daniel, you did a really good channeling. And I'm like, dude, I made the whole thing up. What are you talking about? You know, and so our spirit friends are encouraging me, telling me you are channeling, you just aren't channeling the way you think you are, and with the definitions that you're giving it and the ideas that you're giving it, but you are trans-channeling. It's just not the way that you're defining it. And so I've been given a lot of support, not only from my spirit friends, but also from my human friends, to help me recognize that, okay, there's something to this. And so one of the things that I play with, and again, Eric is at fault for this. In the early days of our channeling, Eric said to us, and I talk about this all the time, this is something that I encourage people that I work with to start paying attention to, is pay attention to the vibration of the sensation of their energy. Listen for what they feel like, and not feeling in physical space, though if you have a connection with your physical space, you can do that too. I don't. My feeling is a knowing, is a sensation, is an awareness. So when I say I feel, or my team speaks to me, they don't speak to me. I don't hear voices. I don't feel them putting their hands on me. I don't feel them next to me. A lot of people do. I'm just not there yet. My experience is all through my awareness, which is really tough at times because it's really easy to doubt because I'm not hearing the voice. I'm not seeing the light. I'm not feeling the hands on my shoulders. And so what I get is a knowing. It's like, oh, Eric just said hi, but he didn't say hi. He shared a knowing through me that I knew that what he was saying was, I'm here and tell them I say hi. And so Eric just said hi. But again, really easy for me to say I made that up. Really, really easy. And so last season, Ana Maria Vazquez was talking about how claircognizant, which is the knowing, the clear knowing, is the one that is closest to the most clean connection with spirit. It doesn't have the interference of our senses. It is a more direct connection with spirit. The downside is because it doesn't have the reference of our human experience, it's easier to doubt. And in channeling, if your channeling is such that you're using your, in channeling, they're using your language. They're using your hardware. So some people are able to channel different languages, but most people don't. Most people that channel, the channel is using my existing language. So I cannot channel in French or Russian, because the spirit that's channeling through me doesn't have that as a resource to play with. Now, if I am expansive enough in my multidimensional experience where I can tap into another entity of me that does speak French, then yes, they can do that. But it's depending on my human expansion. How expansive is my human? And this is, again, my description of it. So hopefully this is helpful, Carolyn. Doubt is, skepticism is healthy.
I just want to say thank you, Daniel. I'm writing things down and taking it in, and I can feel my body wanting to go to sleep.
My voice has that effect on people, I've been told.
No, that's okay. Thank you.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So, I mean, skepticism is natural and it's healthy, especially in our spiritual journey. Our skepticism supports us in a number of different ways. One of them is that it slows us down so that our human can catch up. And resistance does the same thing. When we're resistant to something, it's, to some degree, it's the human saying, nope, too quick. I'm not ready for that yet. Let's slow down a bit. And so resistance is a friend. It's not something to fight against. It's not something to work through. Resistance is there and it's helping us. And it's giving our human space to slow down, to take it easier, to quiet down. you're moving too quick, because we get so excited. I mean, I've been there, I got involved in the three principles, in 2013. And shortly thereafter, every single course I could sign up to, every single book I could read, every single video I could watch, every single audio I could find, both present and past. So I found all of Sydney Banks's recordings, and so I listened to all of them constantly. And it's sometimes we get so excited that we don't slow down enough to actually let it settle and let it integrate and let it absorb, right? And so our resistance and our skepticism are beautiful companions to our journey that to some degree force us to put on the brakes a little bit. And a lot of the things that we talk about, anybody that I have respected in this conversation has always said that, your discernment is an integral and critical part of your expansion. And discernment comes from skepticism. You're being skeptical about someone is you learning to discern whether or not that aligns with you or not. And then learning to recognize that energy, where you can start to recognize the energy without the need for skepticism, where you start to discern, oh, yep, that feels right. Oh, nope, that doesn't feel right. And so again, skepticism is a beautiful ally. Doubt is a beautiful ally. It isn't something that I would encourage anybody to get rid of. I would actually say lean into it, feel it, experience it. Ask yourself, what is it that ask it, what is it? What's the message that's there? Oh, you need to slow down a bit. Okay. Or you can feel that the energy just doesn't feel right with this person, but you're not listening to it. And so I'm going to give you all kinds of doubt and, flags and lights and, so our higher self and our inner wisdom and our unconscious mind, our true self, is all working through the vehicle of our emotions, and they're utilizing the breath and experience of our emotions to help guide us and to support us along our journey, to slow us down or to have us look at things in a different way, or to even just look at something and it's like, hey, you need to look at this. There's something in here for you. And so all of these aspects of our journey are gifts, they're friends, they're companions, and we can learn to work with them so that their experience with us is more fluid and more graceful as we expand into a deeper understanding of who we are and how we work, how our minds work, how our emotions communicate with us, how we listen to our emotions in our body. Helpful? Shannon says, yes, even a soul who spoke another language in life will speak the language of the conduit for the message to be received. The skeptic and the skill of discernment are always valuable tools to navigate our spiritual adventure. Margaret says, thank you. Thanks for this, Daniel. I had a channeled session through a friend and I really doubted who it was that I was talking to. It was just too easy. I was told, you're putting up too many blocks, Marge. On the second channeling I did with the spirit, I felt more relaxed and felt that, yes, maybe this was him. Like, you get claircognizant. Okay. So were you channeling that, Marge? Or were you listening to a message? Thank you for sharing that. I'm just not clear on which side of the coin you were at, because how I respond to that will be slightly different. Okay. So this is one of my broken records. take everything anybody ever says with a grain of salt. Everything. It doesn't matter if it's Sarah Landon, if it's Matt Kahn, if it's, Abraham Hicks. I don't care who it is. Take everything anybody says with a grain of salt, because it may or may not be aligned with you, and it may or may not be for you. And if you're working with somebody that's learning, myself included, my human is still very much involved in the answers. And so there's an element where my personality, my ideas, my beliefs can sometimes influence the answer that's given. And now what I say is that regardless of how advanced I get in my channeling, or anybody is in their channeling, the fact that a channel is going through my energetic field, it is impossible for me not to influence the answer. Because they're going through my field. This is Daniel they're going through. And so when Yeshua channels through me, the way that Yeshua presents himself is going to be different than when Essie, who's also Yeshua, channels through Shannon. Shannon doesn't like the word Yeshua or Jesus. She's got an aversion to it. So she calls him Essie, which is a nickname for Isa, which is another name for him. And so when Essie channels through Shannon, I can recognize it's Essie, but I can tell that it's different than when Yeshua channels through Anthony. There's a difference in the energy, though I can recognize Yeshua's energy within that, because they're integrating their energy with my energy, they're integrating their energy with Shannon's, they're integrating their energy with Anthony. And so it's impossible to separate Daniel from the message. Now, what I want to get to is a point where I can separate Daniel's consciousness from the message, so that I don't directly influence the answer. But the fact that they're going through me, my personality, my beliefs, my expansive understanding of what life is, will determine how they answer the question. And Sarah Landon talks about this. She was one of the first people that I listened to that I went, oh yeah, there's truth in that. She talked about how, as her understanding grew, the topic and answers that the council was giving changed. Because though they're answering your question, they're also addressing Sarah in her own growth and in her own experience. And as she expands, then the quality of their answer is also more expansive and can be more expansive. And so I started to pay attention to that and be like, okay, well, if that's true, so again, I don't want to belabor the point too much, but the idea that I always say, listen for any message with a grain of salt. Time and time again, Spirit has shown examples in my life and my experience where they will say things not because they are accurate per se, but because of the response that I'm going to have to the message. And so it isn't the message that they're giving me. What they're giving me is my response to the message. That's what they're looking to accomplish with that message. And so the content of the message is irrelevant. And so I've been given examples of this. I've heard examples of this in Sarah Landon's community. Sandra is part of that community. She may remember situations where something like this has been brought up. The council talks about this too. And so I always say, take everything anybody says with a grain of salt. Listen for the alignment of what it is that you're hearing to the truth of who you are at that moment. And if it aligns, beautiful. And if it doesn't, perfect. And this again goes into this whole idea of discernment. So hopefully, Marge, is that helpful? And now there's also an aspect where when someone is learning to channel, give them a lot of space, because it's not easy to learn how to communicate a message without influencing the answer. Really not easy, especially if they're channeling the way that I channel, which is through their awareness. Really a lot of introspection and a lot of reflection, a lot of really subtle differences of, I'm translating this from my knowing, but I'm trying not to add my 2 cents to it. And noticing that difference is really subtle sometimes. Shannon says, no matter who the spirit is and the conduit, use your discernment in what is for you and or not, and what is not, and put off on the mental shelf as it may be for another time. Yeah, beautiful reminder. It may not be for you now, but it might be for you later. And so don't openly dismiss it. It's just not for you right now. You know, I've heard Theo is another channel that I listen to on occasions, which is Sheila something or other. Theo is a representation of all the archangels channeled through one. Most of the time when I listen to those channeled messages, it doesn't resonate with me at all. But on occasions, oh my head, it's just something hits me so damn hard that I'm like, wow. My experience that I talked about earlier, where I got a message and I knew that message was for me, was through them. It was the first time that I ever listened to them. And the message was so clearly for me. It was like, it was infused in my vibration. It's like, oh my God. And you know, but most of the time that I listen to them, it just doesn't, it's not wrong what they're saying. I don't disagree what they're saying, but it just doesn't excite me. It doesn't wake me up the way other channels do. But I always listen to it when I'm drawn to their emails. You know, I usually delete the messages. We're going to be channeling this, we're going to be channeling this. And all of a sudden there's something that calls my attention. I'm like, oh, okay, that's one that I'm going to listen to. And then I listen to it. And sometimes there's a message really clear and sometimes there isn't. But I trust that. I know enough to listen to my energy to know that when something in a description catches my eye, there's something in there for me, whether I consciously recognize it or not. What is not for you, you put off on a mental shelf for later. Makes more sense. Sentence. Haha. The other thing is that the message might not be for you. It could be for someone else. And Shannon taught me that. Is I heard a message from Theo and it didn't resonate with me. And then the next week I'm having a conversation with Carolyn and Carolyn says something and I'm like, boom, you got to listen to this message from Theo. Let me send you the link. Had nothing to do with me, but I was the conduit. Because, you know, Carolyn was going to be speaking with me and I can present Theo's message to Carolyn. And so, and again, so this is, again, spirit works in these wonderful, magical ways where sometimes the message isn't for you and it's for someone else, but it's for you to know, because at some point in time, either you're going to use it as a description and helping somebody understand something, or you're going to share it with somebody, or et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Helpful? Hopefully. Any other questions on this? Any other questions that you would like me to talk about, or shall I go into being humans a spiritual experience? Okay. So if there's any questions along the way, as always, please let me know. And if you want me to redirect in a different direction. Just to comment that when I hear them, I don't doubt. When you hear what, Sally? When you hear who, Sally? And how do you hear them? Do you want to unmute and talk about that?
Oh, just very briefly, just saying that, well, energies, when they're actually speaking and you can actually hear them, so they're not speaking through you, or it's not a knowing. So sometimes you do get that knowing, And that's very clear, the knowing, but then it's when you hear them. So when I'm hearing them, I'm not doubting that experience. Sorry, Fred's turned up.
active. Hey, Fred. And
So
something that Sally just reminded me of, which is another thing that you can do, is you can record the conversations and then listen to the recording, watch the recording, and you can feel the shift in your energy, just like you would someone else. So when I'm watching Jamie Butler or Sarah Landon or whomever, I can feel the shift in the energy. And again, feel isn't my physical body. It's an awareness thing, and it's really, really subtle. But if I was questioning myself, just like my friends tell me that they can feel the energy when I'm channeling, the difference in the energy, you can record yourself and then watch it again. And you can look for the shift in energy as, again, confirmation that you're not just making this up. So I did something with a friend of mine the other day, which was a lot of fun. And I would like to repeat it for you guys, if you guys are game. Marge, you're still speaking directly to me. I don't know if you wanted to share that with everybody or not. Marge gets that too, where she hears as well, and then she doesn't doubt it. Yeah, when we hear things, when our human senses are used, it's easier not to doubt. So if you guys are game, I'm going to go into an exercise of listening for vibration, of listening for the energy. Let's see. No expectations, guys. You don't need to repeat it exactly like you did it last time. And I did this last season, and I've done this a couple of times, where for me, a lot of what I do in these conversations and the channeling conversations is I talk about feeling the difference in the energy, because this has been so powerful for me in even recognizing the energies that want to speak, is looking for that subtle difference in the energy between my own awareness and something other than my own awareness. And so as I sit here talking to you and I just go into my awareness and I can kind of feel into that space, I can hear, not hear, but I can hear laughter. I can sense laughter is a more accurate word. I can sense them saying, I'm here, I'm here, I'm here, I'm here. If I allow myself to expand a little bit further, I can feel the collective associated with this event. And again, it's really, really subtle. But again, this is a skill set that I'm focusing on and practicing and paying attention to in order to strengthen it, to improve it. Okay. Yes, we're going to use you. I know that you guys like to do this too. So I'm talking to them on purpose. I don't normally do this. Something just got really bright. The sun just got really bright. My camera pulses the light, and my camera, depending on the vibration of the light, you'll see the vibrations in the wave. So it isn't energy so much as light playing with my camera, but it could be spirit too. Again, Marge, you're speaking directly to me. I don't know if you wanted to share that with the group. But again, if you want to think that it's energy pulsing my camera, you can do that too. That's allowed. And it might be, but there is a physical description of that. But normally it isn't just this light. Normally it's when I turn on the light above that makes it go. So it might be spirit playing with the camera, because this light normally doesn't do it. Anyway. So again, I'm going to be transparent. What I heard, felt, sensed was good friends of mine that I'm learning to play with more and more. You may have heard of them. Yeshua and Mary Magdalene, when they speak through me, they can change their energy, and anybody can do this. So it's not just them, but I noticed it first with them, where one of them starts to speak, and you can begin to feel the shift in the voice already as I am actually stepping over and into Daniel. You can tell that now this is me. Listen to, let me rephrase that. Thank you, Daniel. Pay attention to the vibration of the sensation you have as I am speaking with you. And for those of you that are questioning, yes, I am Yeshua, I am Essie, I am Isa, I am Jesus. Daniel and I have a long line of experience playing and working together. And so it's easy for Daniel to align and associate with my energy. And now as we begin to talk a little bit more, Daniel felt a shift in energy. Notice again, Daniel is not consciously moving the tone of voice. It's just naturally what's happening as I come forward and I speak. And now again, for those of you that are energy sensitive, you can feel. This is the divine feminine. You can feel that in you. Daniel just got a wave of chills. You can feel the difference in the energy when I come forward and when I speak. And again, we're going to play with you because as we are speaking, you can begin to feel that shift, literally from the beginning of that sentence to the end of this sentence. You can feel that transition. And now it's me again. And so this is something that we love to do with Daniel because, again, for Daniel, it's really important to help people understand and connect with the frequency and vibration of our energies and to start to identify them. And so we play with him in this space. And so Daniel was just thinking that I was going to shift into Mary Magdalene, and it didn't happen the way he thought it was going to happen. And again, this is confirmation for him that he's not driving the car. And so he can feel Mary Magdalene's energy very strongly. And of course, she's just, on the other edge of the sentence. And sometimes we give Daniel a breath, or I give him a wave of energy to flow through him for him to recognize the shift in energy. Make it easier for him. And again, you can listen for this. You can listen to this. Now, we can sit here and we can talk to you about how wonderful you are, how much we love you, how everything is happening exactly as it should be. And we can find new ways of saying the messages that all of you have heard a million times. But we are here to tell you is that it isn't what you hear from us. It's what you feel from within yourself. It's your awareness. It's your recognition. It's your reawakening. It's your realization that makes the difference. It's not what I say or what the council says or Abraham says. They're beautiful messages. And again, the council, when we speak as the council, and again, you can feel the energy. We've never actually channeled through Daniel, though Sandra might be able to recognize our energy. Daniel never knew that he could channel the council, though he knew that he could, but we've never actually channeled through him. When we speak through Sarah and through others that connect with us, we regularly say, this is a vibrational experience. The words are only there as a distraction to your human mind so that your human mind can play with something, can try and connect dots and try and figure things out. But what we're doing is we're distracting the human mind so that we can allow you, your whole self, to extend into a different experience of vibration. And now, Daniel is reminding us, this isn't okay. So this is a different energy. Let me speak to this point. And again, we're doing this on purpose so that you can feel and experience the shift in our energies. And so for those of you that don't recognize me by my energy signature, again, because it's going to be influenced by Daniel, of course, but those of you that are sensitive and are familiar with my energy may already be wondering, is that Michael? And yes, this is Michael. And again, Daniel has never directly channeled me, though I have spoken through him as a collective and he's familiar with my energy. And Daniel just filtered me, which is fine. I don't need to say what I was going to say. You're beautiful human, and the beliefs that your human has are innocently creating the experience that you're having. And as you expand your understanding of who you are and you tap into the truth of who you are, and you start to let go and allow these beliefs and perceptions of limitation to dissolve, you extend even more easily into the truth and the totality of your magnificent self. And as Daniel likes to remind you, and we love to remind you through him, your beautiful human is the experience that you're having this journey through. And so when we say, when we say, and again, this is the council, you can feel the shift in energy because we are all speaking as one and we're trying to differentiate our energies for you very clearly. When we say that our energy and our message is a vibrational experience, and that what we are saying is to distract and keep your human busy, it is not to disparage your beautiful human, but to give your beautiful human the opportunity to expand into the truth of what he or she already knows it is capable of. The doubt that you experience along your journey, the resistance that you experience along your journey is teaching you lessons and experiences and opportunities that are relevant for you and your growth, both as a human, as a soul, as a higher self. They are specific to you, to your perfect journey, to your absolutely pristine experience. We all, in different ways, remind you that you are the energy of all that is. You are the energy of Source having a human experience, which speaks to Daniel's topic. And so Daniel just felt me step in. I am part of his pack. None of you that have not listened to Daniel channel before would necessarily recognize me, though many of you know me already, because again, we all know each other and play in many different dimensions. But I am a member of his pack. Another friend of ours is the one that tends to speak more. And for those of you that have listened to past seasons, he's the one that's more vocal. I am here because my energy is very identifiable. There's a richness to it. There's a strength to it. There's a power behind it. Again, you can feel it in my voice, the way that I present myself through Daniel's vocal cords. Your human experience is a spiritual journey. What does this mean? We will, of course, let Daniel share his own ideas. But what we are here to remind you, all of us, in our own different ways, is that the experience you're having is a spiritual experience, and you're experiencing it through your beautiful human. You cannot experience your divinity while in human form without allowing your human to experience the same. Being human is a gift. It is an honor. It is a playtime. It's an experience. A lot of people speak of it as a vacation. It's a playground. It's a class. It's a lesson. All of these. Daniel regularly talks about how your human has the capacity to experience depth of emotion that many other beings in the universe are incapable of experiencing. The broad range of emotions that your human has the gift and ability to play with and explore and experience, experiment with, is unique. And so for those of you that are exploring this path innocently, with compassion and understanding, recognize your human is trying to catch up to you as quickly as it can. This is something that Daniel struggles with, and we remind him of this all the time. And not too long ago, he had a breakdown where he led into his doubt and his judgment of his journey because of an interpretation that he made of a message from Spirit. You are all human. You are all expanding into a different experience of what it means to be human, but you are all going to continue being beautiful, amazing humans. Your experience of spiritual expansion is a misrepresentation of the truth. Your spiritual expansion is your human expansion to allow more action, access, and connection to energies beyond the definition that you guys have been innocently brought up into believing of who you are as humans. And this is slowly changing, for some of you much faster than others. Your spiritual journey is about allowing your human to expand into greater depths of experience. Notice your spiritual journey is your human journey. Notice your human experience is a spiritual experience. Just give me a moment. Energies are strong. Tears, crying, all of that good stuff. Give me a moment. You guys aren't supposed to do this yet. Oh, couldn't you wait until the closing ceremony? Oh, God. I'm feeling overwhelmed because I'm feeling this incredible gratitude, love, and appreciation. And they normally don't do this until the closing ceremony. And so, again, I invite you guys to feel into what's being shared with me, because it isn't just for me. This gratitude and appreciation for all of us on the journey that we're in, on the struggles that we have in our human experience. This is Daniel speaking. So I was just corrected. I am just correcting Daniel. This isn't actually Daniel speaking. This is Daniel's higher self. And again, you can listen to my tone of voice, which is a very natural tone for Daniel, in the way that he speaks, his mannerisms, his tone of voice, his cadence. But if you listen to the sensitivity of the vibration that I am speaking through, you can identify a distinction from when Daniel's just speaking as his human self. And so, as I was saying, or as he was saying, the feeling of gratitude and love that Daniel felt wasn't for him. It was for all of you to feel, for all of you to experience the pride that we have for all of you and all of the things that you are doing to help us all expand and to create a new experience on earth that has never existed before. You are creating this individually through your own expansion. And your individual growth allows for the collective growth to take place and then feed itself. But please remember, the power that you have as an individual is beyond any level of understanding that your human will ever have. And we say that with all respect to your beautiful human. But however far you believe your energy is felt, that your human can understand, I can assure you it extends far beyond that. You are powerful beyond measure. You are indispensable beyond measure. The uniqueness of who you are, the individuality that you bring to the collective consciousness is appreciated by all in every dimension, in every existence that has ever existed and ever will exist. You are never alone. We are always here with you. And by we, Daniel wants me to specify your soul, your higher self, your multidimensional aspect of your identity, of your individuality, is always here with you. Your guides, your spirit team, as Daniel refers to them, your angels, your mentors, the elders, the healers, the light beings, whatever terms you want to use. We are always by your side and always here to help you at any point that you ask us to help you. And so now Daniel is beginning to recognize, as some of you may have already, that it is no longer Daniel's higher self that's speaking entirely, where I am channeling the collective. And so the higher self of Daniel is channeling the collective through me, through Daniel. Daniel has a lot of collectives that speak through him. And there's also individuality. We hope that this has been helpful for you in your own journey to identify within yourself the truth of who you are and how you connect with the truth of who you are. Thank you for the honor of allowing us to play with you. Thank you for the honor of allowing us to witness your brilliance. Thank you for the honor of allowing us to assist you through your challenges that allow us to also expand. Don't forget, your expansion not only helps to expand the collective, but our relationship with you also helps us to expand our individual growth. And I am speaking this from the point of the highest vibration. Again, the influence that you have as individuals is magnificent, spectacular. You are the energy of all that is. We are all one, every single one of us. Daniel loves to play in the perception of individualized self. And that is where we enjoy playing as well, though we have a different relationship with that where we are right now, because we don't have the restrictions and limitations that are imposed by your planet in your human experience, which again are being shifted. We love playing in our individual self, and we also love recognizing that we are all one and that there is no distinction between myself or Yeshua, Mary Magdalene, his pack. We are honored and grateful. Thank you. So I was not expecting that. I was not expecting that. So hopefully that's helpful for you guys. and hopefully you were able to feel some of the differences in the different energies that came forward. And if you didn't, that's okay too. But it's just an invitation for you to start to lean into that possibility and to recognize that. Eric, who taught me this, was talking about how we can start to identify the energy of the vibration and the thoughts that we're having, so that I can start to say, oh, this thought came from Eric. This thought feels like Maitland. This thought feels like my pack. This thought feels like Yeshua, as I start to identify the vibration of the signature associated with the thought. And that's what I've extrapolated out. And I couldn't necessarily feel the differences, but the way that I channel, like I say, is I close my eyes and I go inside and I start to feel for, okay, what am I feeling that's outside of me? That's a different vibrational signature than what I'm used to in this conversation with you right now. This is what I'm used to because this is my human experience. And I can feel energies, not necessarily here in the feeling sense like some of my friends do, but I can sense that a lot of their energies are still very much within me, still within my field. So Camille, thank you for that. I felt big chills when Archangel Michael was coming in. The vibration was evident. Yeah, and the thing is that, here's the thing, right? The other day I had an experience where we were channeling Syrian energy, and it wasn't through me, it was through Renee and Anthony. They've agreed to come back next season, which is going to be great. So Renee and Anthony, I'm a member of their community, and they were channeling for Lionsgate, Syrian energy, Hathor energy, Isis energy, and they were very strong energies, and I wasn't really that familiar with them. And so I felt a lot of tension and tightness in my neck, which is where I feel it. And I've heard people talk about how channeling Yeshua takes a lot of practice and takes a lot of energy and a lot of commitment to align with his energy. I've been channeling Yeshua pretty much from the get-go effortlessly because I align with that energy already. And some of you might align with the Syrian energy already. And so for you, the Syrian energy doesn't feel like it's big. It doesn't feel like a big shift to your human. And so for me, the way that I'm learning to understand this is it's not that the energies are more powerful. It's not that Yeshua's energy is more powerful than mine and I need to align with it and make myself, more expansive to allow for him. It's more about allowing the energies to align in a vibrational stasis where they integrate together. And we have a natural affinity towards some energies more than others. Our human has a natural affinity towards some energies and others. Our soul, because of its relationships, has a natural affinity to some vibrations more than others. And so I don't see the Syrian energy as being, oh, it's a really big, powerful energy, any more so than I would say if I was channeling Camille or if I was channeling Sandra. Now, one of them might not align with me. And so I'm going to get this big, like, oh my God, I'm getting the tension and the tightness because Sandra's energy is so powerful. Not to say that it's not Sandra, you know what I mean. But it's this alignment that we have with energies that some of them are going to align with us more easily than others. And then if we want to channel Syrians or Palladians or Yeshua or different archangels, we can practice and we can consciously align with their energy so that our vibrational signature creates the space for that alignment to happen. And again, it's happening through our beautiful human, not in spite of our human. We are not exploring and expanding our spiritual understanding. We're exploring and expanding our human understanding of what it means to be spirit within a human body. That's what we're doing. And so when people say, I said this the other day, when people say we're spirit having a human experience, I disagree. We're human having a spiritual experience. That's the emphasis for me. That's where I think the magic exists in my expansion. And so I share it with you guys because I hope that there's something in this that resonates with you. I talk about how the tree is a beautiful metaphor for all kinds of things, and I use it in all kinds of descriptions. But the tree is a beautiful metaphor for our human experience as well, because the tree is only going to grow as high as its roots allow. You're never going to have 100-foot tree with 1 foot or 2 feet or 1 meter of roots. Never going to happen. So for the tree to grow 100 meters up, 100 feet up, guess what needs to happen first? 100 meters down or more. And so the tree, again, the energy of tree, the wisdom of tree, it's incredible. But I use that metaphor to help describe this idea that this is a human experience first and foremost, and to bring your human along the spiritual journey. That's why we're here. And that's what we have been innocently told otherwise, because we've been told you're here, that being human means this. Not anymore. A lot of people in the spiritual community disparage the human body, which I think is unfortunate. And many are waking up to it, and they're changing their language, which is really amazing to see. So thank you guys for the beautiful messages. I haven't fully read them all. I will read them later. I've kind of skimmed them a little bit. So if you guys are asking a question or would like to ask a question, please feel free to do so. I've been eyes closed, haven't really been following the chat. So Shannon says, I agree with you. I have a very different relationship with SE, and it took my human a bit to get through to allow him to come in. And now we channel in a very different way than he does with others, as each conduit is unique in how we connect and what our human relationship is like to that being or collective. I didn't do any trans channeling, Shannon, but thank you. So this is what I mean by Shannon is very energy sensitive. She and I have worked together a lot. She's channeled with me a lot. I haven't channeled for her as often, but she's familiar with my energy, and she's saying that I trans channeled. I don't think that I did. My experience isn't that I trans channeled, because it's still going through my awareness. I'm influencing what they're saying, and I'm very transparent with that. And so I tell them that I'm telling you to say this. And so I'm very conscious of what's being said, and I am not part of, I'm learning more and more to not influence that. And sometimes I get a little bit in the way, and they're like, okay, Daniel's interfering more than other times, but we can still continue. But I'm not going somewhere else. I'm not leaving my body. I'm not leaving my awareness. I'm not moving aside within my body, which are all different ways that people describe it. Yeah, I am learning to step back more. I am learning that. Yeah. I was allowing the message to go through me more freely. But again, I'm still very, very present and very active. But that's the way that I would describe it, is that I was allowing the message to move freely through me more easily with less interference. So thank you, Shannon. Okay, so questions.
Daniel,
Yes, sir.
can I ask the question, or did you want it in the chat?
No, please.
So my question is, channeling archangels, how many are there available to us? How do you contact them? Do they reach out to us? I mean, I don't know much about archangels other than what I learned in Catholic school and in elementary school.
Well, you know more than I do. I'll tell you that. Okay, there's a number of ways in which I can answer this. The general answer is, if you want to connect with an archangel, just invite them. Simple as that. Like we were talking about Eric. We don't need to complicate it. Our human likes to complicate things because it can't be that simple. It can't be that simple. There's got to be a more difficult way. Sydney Banks talks about the three principles. Our entire existence of life is created from the energy of life, our ability to experience life, which is our consciousness, and the power of thought. It's that simple. Every experience of life, these three elements make it possible. Very simple. Really difficult to understand because it's so simple. Because our humans like, no, it can't be that simple. So
yeah, I find myself wanting to ask the how and why, but I feel like that's what I need to get away from, the how and why, and just maybe just be.
The how and why can be important. And so let me get to the how and why in a bit. Okay, let me answer your first question a little bit more. I've been told, let me be accurate with my language. I have thought in my awareness that it would be helpful for me to learn the names of the archangels. So I don't know them. I don't know who they are. And I've received the message that it will be helpful for me to be able to identify them by name. I know Michael. I know Lucifer. I'm very familiar with those energies. You knew that it was going to come out, didn't you, bastard? What I filtered was the reference that Michael was going to give to Lucifer, because I was afraid that people wouldn't receive a message openly if their belief of Lucifer got in the way. And so I filtered Michael, and I didn't let him talk about Lucifer's energy. What am I doing? I'm talking about Lucifer's energy because that's an energy I'm familiar with. Lucifer is the counterpart of Michael. They work together all the time. All the time. If you're asking for Michael's help, most of the time, Lucifer's right there with him. Lucifer is not the devil. He's not, a fallen angel that, has gone into the depths and darkness of existence. It's not like that at all. Lucifer is, Shannon described it to me the other day, that Lucifer, and this is something that I remember from what Shannon said. So Shannon, correct me if I'm wrong, but Lucifer chose to be the protector of Earth. He raised his hand and said, yes, I want to be the protector of Earth. And so Lucifer is the fallen angel in the sense that he came to this planet to be in this experience with us. So I'm very familiar with Lucifer's energy. He's come forward into our practice groups. I resonated with his energy instantly. I feel his energy a lot in my own personality, in the way that I perceive things, and my interest in bringing light to the world. He's the bringer of light. My interest in honesty and integrity. He's the shower of truth. So there's a lot of alignment in my own personality that aligns with Lucifer's energy. And so I'm very familiar with that energy. So if Lucifer steps forward, I can recognize it. I'm familiar with it. When Michael steps forward, I can recognize that I'm familiar with it. If Haniel stepped forward, he's presented himself to our practice group. So I have a human reference, but I'm not that familiar with it. So if that energy wanted to play with me more, again, this is why they want me to have the names, so that they can say, by the way, this is me. And again, this is me really doesn't matter, because like they say all the time, there isn't a distinction between any of them, because they're all one. The legion of angels that all have individualized self are all working as one. And so if you want to connect with Michael, connect with Michael. Michael is used by many people because he's the most well-known one. And he's also the protector. And so people want help with protection. And so he's called upon a lot. Now, interestingly enough, not, spoiler alert, sometimes when you call for Michael, what you get is your higher self or your guides that are manifesting as Michael to help you as Michael. And it isn't actually Michael. But again, there's no distinction between one and the other. There's no difference between your higher self and Michael. But again, playing this whole idea and the game of individualized self, the perception of individualized self, understanding, yes, so he's also the leader of our angels. And so, yeah, Michael has this title that he is the leader of the angels. And I would say that he isn't. Him and Lucifer are. But again, what Eric was talking about is they're all working in unison. And angels have said this to me, through me, and through other channels that I hear. if you connect with Ariel and you ask for Ariel's help, and that doesn't happen to be within their wheelhouse, they'll bring in anybody else and everybody else that's relevant for it. So you're connecting with Michael, but Michael's never alone. He's going to bring whatever energies are relevant for what you're asking for, even if he has nothing to do with it. It's all everybody else, but he's the orchestrator because you connect with Michael's energy. So he'll orchestrate everything. Like Eric said, I may not have any clue what it is that you're doing, but I know a lot of energies and I'll bring them forward. And so the invitation is connect with whatever energies you feel aligned to. Don't worry about it if you don't know them. I don't know them. I know Michael because he comes up a lot. I know Lucifer, again, because he comes up a lot, not necessarily in a way that I think is respectful of his energy, but that will change in time. Eventually, our society will view him for the truth of who he is, and he's okay with that. He's in no hurry. He's got no judgment. I'm familiar of the name Ariel, but I couldn't tell you what his strengths are or her strengths are, because again, they're not gender specific. I know Metatron because of sacred geometry, but outside of that, I know very little about him. So how do you connect with them, and do they come to you both? Some people will have an archangel appear in their experience because they're aligned to them already. And so they help them awaken. And some people draw the energy to them because they're interested in playing with that energy. So both. There's no right or wrong. There's no better or worse. It's just different for each of us. I never wanted to necessarily channel Yeshua. He just came forward one day. Didn't surprise me because I listened to Yeshua with Anthony and Renee. I'm drawn to their group because they channeled Mary Magdalene and Yeshua's energy. Why am I drawn to that? Well, go figure. Because I align to it. Does this help answer your first question?
Yes.
Yeah. Now, the second question, remind me. Oh, the how and the...
I'm more focused on, I find myself being more focused on the how do I get there and why, like which archangel do I call on for protection, as an example, or guidance?
Right. You can generalize this out. So again, I'm going to pick on Michael. Michael's used to it. Michael, can you help me with protection? Michael, can you help me with this relationship that I'm having with Shannon? She and I are really struggling a lot, and I'm having a really hard time seeing the truth of what's behind our relationship. Michael, can you help me with that? Michael, I'm really struggling with my finances this month, and I'm really going into doubt in my relationship with money. Can you help me find a little bit of truth within my experience where I can see that I am abundant? Michael, I'm trying to connect with my plant, and I'm having a really hard time connecting with my plant. Can you help me connect with my plant? You see where I'm going? I'm connecting with Michael because I align with him. Who he brings to help me with all of these requests is dependent on the request. I don't need to worry about which angel do I ask for this, and which angel is protection, which angel is travel, which angel is sacred geometry, which angel is connection with the nature. I don't need to remember any of that. Now, if I do, great, because I enjoy that and I want to learn that and I want to play with that. But there's no distinction between any of them. I can say the same thing to Eric. And Eric will bring in Michael, or bring in Ariel, or bring in Haniel, or bring in Metatron, and the other Metatron's twin, whose name I always forget. Sorry, buddy. You know, so they will all work it all out on their side of things. We don't need to worry about that. It's not our job. It's not my responsibility. My role is to ask for help when I want the help. And that's all I need to do. Have it be my higher self, have it be my spirit guides, have it be a gnome or a fairy or a dragon, have it be, whatever it is that you align to. They will connect with whatever energies are relevant. And there's an advantage to this. I believe that this is how they work. So how do you think it's going to work? So if I have the idea that I need to speak to a specific angel for a specific thing, well, they'll follow that. Okay. But to some degree, they're never going to leave us hanging. They're never going to say, you asked for Michael, but you really needed Ariel, so tough. They're never going to say that. But they're going to align with our belief systems, and they're going to support our belief systems because it's our free will and it's our choice and it's the world that we're creating and experiencing in. And so I have the belief and understanding that they're all one and they're all synchronistically working together and partnering as needed, depending on what I ask. That made sense to me the first time I heard it, and I've expanded on it. So I don't need to worry about who. And the how, really easy. I need help. Help me out. That's simple. Now, how they help may not necessarily be obvious to your human. And be open to that. I know that when I ask for help, I'm being helped, even if my human doesn't recognize it. And I'm trying to develop my human sensitivity to identify and to listen for, the trees. Ana Maria Vasquez talks about this all the time. The trees will regularly say, humans are like little kids. They're really good at asking a lot of questions, but they're really bad at listening. And so I am working on learning how to listen better and to listen in different ways and to look for the synchronicities in life that tell me, oh, that's where the answer might be. I might have just gotten a message to my question that I asked a week ago. But I fully believe and trust that when I ask for help, help is given, even if I don't recognize it. And the more that I lean into this direction, the more I start to recognize it. Helpful?
Yes.
Yeah. Any other questions about any of that?
Oh, I had one here. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Here's the other thing that I wanted to say, given the conversation we had yesterday.
Yes.
The how and the why is important for your human, so honor that.
Okay.
Don't dismiss it. Honor it, because it's important for your human. If you're anything like me, the how and the why is important. People have said time and time again that learning the spiritual path is not an intellectual learning. It is a heartfelt learning. And I disagree. My personal experience is that my intellect helps me to feel the heart. But I can't dismiss my intellect because it's a big part of the way that I interact with life. It's a big part of the way that I relate to life. It's a big part of the way that I learn through life. And so my personal journey is not about, my personal journey, again, is about the integration between my intellect and my heart. And so for me to understand, this is why I love the three principles. The three principles, let me back up a little bit. This is going to be long, guys. So if you guys, we're probably going to go over time, is what I'm about to say. If you look at my journey, and this has become clear to me over the last year, much more so than ever before, I've always looked at, yes, but how does this work? So in my 20s, I explored a lot with psychotherapy, psychology, traditional psychology and psychotherapy. And yes, but how does this work? In my 30s, I studied NLP and hypnotherapy. yes, but how does this work? Led me to New Code NLP, which is the part of that modality is a very strong emphasis on the relationship between the conscious and the unconscious within any kind of change work. Yes, but how does this work? Led me to the 3 principles. Complete and simple, very accessible description of every aspect of life. And guess what I asked? Yes, but how does this work? And so what am I doing now? Well, I'm understanding the relationship between spirit and human. And I'm going deeper into that. And I can guarantee in 10 years, I'm gonna ask, okay, what I'm learning now, how does that work? And I'll be presented with information that will take me there too. It's an integral part of my journey. It is who I am. It's how it's the foundation of everything that I talk to you guys about. Everything I've shared with you is this understanding of how life works and how the mind works. And I got there because of my human desire. How does that work? Now, is it my human desire? It's not. It's my spiritual personality. And it might be my soul's personality versus my higher self's personality, but I bet you my higher self has that aspect within its personality of really appreciating the nature of how something works, the system behind the experience. I bet you there's a line between myself, my soul, my higher self that aligns with that it isn't just Daniel with this arbitrary personality characteristic. I bet you it's part of my spiritual personality is also related to that. Now, my human personality takes that to an extreme that another personality might not have had. But there's an underlying intention within that. So from the conversation that you and I had yesterday, I get the feeling that you and I are a lot the same. And so if you are interested in the how and the why, honor that. Don't dismiss it, because it may likely be the door that opens you into a deeper understanding. Yeah, astrologically possible also in your chart. And now here's the thing, Camille. The astrology doesn't dictate my personality. My personality dictates the astrology. The planets don't determine who I am. The planets reflect who I am. Now, again, my perspective, my point of view. Some astrologers might disagree with that. But for me, that's the way that I see the planets, is that the planets are reflecting my personality. And I think Shannon talks about how it's the cheat sheet to our, what is it? What do you say, Shannon, if you're still listening? The planets are a cheat sheet to our soul plan or our soul path. But the planets don't determine our personality. They reflect it. And so again, you are so powerful as an individual that the planets aligned to represent your personality exactly the moment that you were born. How's that for power? How's that for coolness, right? The coolness factor?
That's beautiful.
Right?
Can I just say something, Danielle?
Absolutely. Go ahead.
Yeah. You know what I was going to say, though? You're an air sign, which is, I think, or your
Pisces.
planet, your
I'm
Pisces,
water.
me too. Yeah, but there might be your moon in an air sign, because you're much more intellectual minded than than say I am being a Pisces.
Pisces is a very unique sign because
It is.
Pisces has
Has
two
all of
very
everything.
distinct personalities.
Yes, and has each one. You've been in a life each time, at least once, in all the other signs prior, because it's the 12th on the wheel.
So Pisces, what's really interesting about Pisces is my brother is also Pisces.
Mhm.
And in the description of Pisces, the things that didn't align with me, I felt aligned with him.
Isn't that interesting? Yeah.
And now the thing with Pisces, one thing that's pretty universal is that Pisces is a lot of introspection.
Yes.
There's a lot of introspection within Pisces.
Yeah. Yeah.
So for me, introspection is an analytical process. It's a intellectual process because
So
that's
I'm
what I experience, but it isn't always for others. For
Yeah,
some, going within is a felt sense. It's a feeling. It's a going within the body and really understanding that aspect of it. And so how that introspection plays out is going to be different from person to person.
mhm. I was gonna say that your ascendant sign or your moon or others. I only know that the three important ones are your sun, moon, and ascendant. One of them or two of them might be in an air sign, which is what Aquarius, Gemini. Did you ever have your chart done?
I've had my chart done a number of times, and I've got
And
an
you
app with my chart. And
really?
yeah.
Yeah,
Kitty and I had a session where she talked to me about my chart,
yeah.
which was really helpful. But I don't remember any of it because I don't
Ah,
align with it, and I don't give it.
yeah.
It's not my tool. It's
Right.
not what I use as a reference. And
It
again,
is one of mine. Yeah.
for me, it's again, tools are there as
A guidance, partially. That's what astrology is to me, a guidance. Because when the planets are
tools.
moving,
The tools and exercises are there to show us the truth of who we are, but they don't define who we are.
no, I don't think it defines me. It's just a
And I
guide.
know a lot of people that look at astrology as a definition
no,
of
I
their
don't.
personality, which
Yeah.
I don't resonate with.
Yeah, no, I don't resonate with that portion part of it either. For
But
what
you know,
everybody is to each his own. I respect everybody's belief about it.
yeah,
But
I know Shannon knows a lot about astrology, and she talks about
okay.
it. Kitty
Yeah.
obviously is very involved in astrology, and she
Yes.
communicates to her spirit team through astrology. And so that's
Oh,
a
see, I
very
don't.
strong,
Yeah.
relationship for her.
Yeah.
It
See,
isn't
I
for
don't
me.
do that.
I
Yeah.
play with it. I
Yeah, me
experiment
too.
with it superficially, but I don't really like. I
But I don't
can't
live by
remember who
it.
my sun sign is and what my
Oh,
descendant
see, I
is and my
do though.
ascendant and
Sorry.
what's in my house and what this means and what that means.
Well, I can't remember them all, but certain parts of it I know, you know. But I'm sorry to take you away, Arturo,
No,
from your
it's okay.
conversation. Yeah.
So the one thing that and this is, again, it's just, again, my bias. When we are learning about our spiritual journey, we come across a number of different tools and techniques and descriptions of life. And some of them may apply to the general masses and some of them don't. So I tend to be very, I don't want to say cautious or careful, but I've learned through mistakes of, and I don't want to say mistakes. I've learned through experiences where the outcome of my saying things wasn't necessarily the desired outcome that I had hoped for. I'm learning more and more to not necessarily project my ideas of things to others in others' lives. Now, what's interesting about the conversation is I would love to get to a conversation with you, Camille, and look at charts and see how it aligns with personalities. Oh, look at that. Does this resonate with you? This resonates with you? Yeah, beautiful. I can't tell you if I have air in I'm sure I have air somewhere within my chart. I don't know what it means, but I'm sure that I do. But I would be reluctant to tell someone, oh, you've got air in your chart. I know some people do. And I'm saying you did. I'm not saying you did.
Yeah, I did because from whatever I know, it made me resonate that you're on a very high intellectual basis.
Yeah. But
To
that,
my,
again, that can manifest differently in different
yes, it can.
signs.
It can manifest in a lot of ways.
I can be very intellectual and in a water sign.
Yeah, of course.
And have absolutely no air. And so it's
Yeah.
just an invitation to just kind of play with
different tools and means and
expand your idea of these tools so that they're not, this is what the tool means.
right. It's outside of the box, you know.
It's
color outside
expanding the
line.
understanding of the tool, that the tool is only a guide, but it's not a final statement of reality.
No, and nothing is the be all end all.
Yeah.
You know, it's all open, and it's open to our interpretations. You know.
Second, Sally, God, I've had to interrogate and analyze everything to explain what I've experienced. Not a bad thing, but I end up with more questions than answers. Now I've just learned to accept while still critically analyzing. Yeah. Marge, no worries. Thank you for being here. I know that we've extended beyond the time. Lots of love to you. Thank you. All right, guys. How does this feel like a good place for us to bring the session to an end? And then we'll take a short break, and then I'll come back and do the closing ceremony.
Should we stay here or come
You
back?
can stay here. Yeah.
Oh,
I'm not gonna close the session. I'll just stop the recording in a minute.
Okay.
And then I'll start up again later.
Sounds good.
So please, please, please take everything I say with a grain of salt. I have my own ideas and limitations and perspectives that limit me in how I say things. I'm not 100% happy with what I just shared with Camille about that exchange, but I'm okay with that, though I have judgment around it. So I'm not perfect. I don't claim to be. I'm doing the best that I can. I will repeatedly tell you guys, take everything I say with a grain of salt, and what anybody else says. We are all on our own journey. We're all learning our expression of self in different ways, and we all have the areas within our experience that are a little bit more resistant and challenging than others in different ways. So I want to apologize to Camille and to anybody because of what I said if it came out wrongly. I'm hoping that what I was trying to say was conveyed, even if how I said it wasn't as accurate as I would have liked or as clean as I would like.
No, you don't have to apologize, Daniel.
I know.
That was
I know,
yeah.
Camille. I know.
Thank you, though. That's not necessary.
Where I would like to leave this conversation of this session is in, thank you, Sally. Get some rest. Lots of love. What I would like to leave this conversation before we go into the closing ceremony is a bias, and it's a very strong bias. The more you look at understanding what it means to be human, the more you're going to be able to expand into your spiritual nature. The more you look into how your spiritual nature is manifesting through your humanity, and how your human experience is allowing your spiritual expansion, the more you look in that direction, my belief is that it will assist you in expanding further and faster. When we release the misunderstandings of our life, we remove the innocent glass ceilings that we create for ourselves. And for me, the idea that we are spirits in a human form can innocently create a misunderstanding, which is the reason that I like to look at it as I am human having a spiritual experience. And again, like I said, this is my bias. So play with it. If it aligns with you, fantastic. And if it doesn't, perfect, let it go. And so with that, I will leave you guys for now. Thank you very much. I will stop the recording momentarily. I will take a 5-minute break just so that we can, do what we need to do. And then I will be back. Let's do 10 minutes before the hour. So 7 minutes. And then I will start back in 7 minutes, and we'll go through a closing ceremony for those of you that can stick around. And if you can't, that's okay. It'll be recorded, and I know that you're here energetically. So thank you all for being here with me. I really appreciate your involvement and your interaction with me. And I will talk to you soon. Until next season, or until 5 minutes from now, I will leave you with being spirit, being human, simply being from love. Oh, bugger. Okay, sorry, I can't leave yet. How do you work with me if you want to work with me? I get this question all the time, and I forget to talk about it. Okay. Before we go into the closing ceremony, really quickly, I talk about this all the time. The easiest way to work with me is through the Play with Spirit Medium mentor membership program, where people come in with asking questions about their own edges of understanding. I come in with the things that I've learned that have really impacted me, and then I share it with the group, and we collaborate and play together, and we have these kinds of conversations all the time, every week, Thursdays at 1 p.m. Eastern. If you're interested in doing a spiritual journey, I can facilitate that for you. It is a experience where we connect with your spirit team. They share with you messages and transmissions and healings that are relevant for where you are right now in ways that they haven't been able to help you with until then. And so even if you're working on something and have resolved it, there might be some things that you are having a hard time resolving on your own. And so going into this experience, they can help you clear things out or resolve things or give you information that will take you to that next level. And it is all led by them. I just facilitate it. And then, of course, you can always work with me privately, where we have these types of conversations in a one-on-one. Where we work on exploring your edges of your understanding while we're playing with my edges as well. But that's another way that you guys can work with me. And I always like to say, if you're inspired to work with me in something other than this, reach out to me, because I'm sure we can work something out. So thank you guys for being with me. I appreciate it. And again, 10 minutes to the hour, I will be back, and then we will do the closing ceremony. So until then, I will leave you with being spirit, being human, and simply being from love. And I will speak to you soon. Thank you for being part of this incredible experience. We hope that this session has inspired a new level of understanding within you, allowing you to expand more easily into the essence of your true self and become an even more powerful alchemist in your own life. We invite you to listen to the session again and again in order to go deeper each time and expand even more, have it be via the replays or the unlimited access package. If you have enjoyed being part of this event, we invite you to tell your friends so that they can join us in the future. We are grateful that you are here, and we thank you for co-creating this experience with us. Until next time, we leave you with being spirit, being human, and simply being from love.